Hello, hello, good morning. And I am so excited that you're here with me. My name is Joyce Edison on What's Happening at Work podcast. And this is our live show where I come in and share some tips with you. So today we're talking about happiness at work. Now, this is a topic that I think all of us are somehow wanting to make it right. Are you happy at work? This is something your spouse would ask you. This is something that resonates with everyone because whether you're cooking, you're clocking in 9 to 5, burning the midnight oil, or in startups, navigating through the gig economy, happiness at work is crucial for our well being. Because you know what? We spend so much time at work and it is essential for us to be happy at work. So, what are the criteria for happiness at work? How do you know if you're happy at work? So, whether you're joining me here on LinkedIn, you're joining me on Facebook or Instagram, what does happiness look like for you at work? And that's the question I want us to talk about. So join the conversation. Leave your comments. So, first, we're going to talk about what is happiness. So, happiness is not just a feeling you have. And I think when most people, when they think about happy, it's, are you happy, laughing, feeling the buzz? We want to go beyond that. We're talking about happiness from a perspective of well being, and for that, you are going to need your own happiness system because things are going to happen at work that you have no control over. And you can't wait until things are okay at work for you to be happy. So, what does that look like? Is happiness going to be determined by a supportive boss? Joyce, my boss, my leader, is not a good leader, right? But are you waiting to get a supportive boss, a leader who not only drives performance, but also cares about your growth and well being? That is a nice to have. But what I see most times is that leaders themselves are struggling and they don't have the answers, and they need you to come to work with your A game on. They need you to come to work, show up at work ready to take on the workday, ready to challenge, and ready to be part of the team. So, how do you do that? How do you ensure that you are doing your part to build the happiness circle? It's not about me showing up at work and being happy and everybody else caters to me so I can be happy. My colleagues are friendly, my peers, they share beautiful smiles. We support each other, we create a family away from home. That is nice to have. It's not always that, right? I'm a conflict analyst. I have been doing this work for too long, 27 years this year. And it's not always a happy cake at work. So, what do you do when that's not happening? What about policies? Clear policies and procedures, knowing exactly what is expected and how things work, and, to remove confusion and promote fairness. Yeah, that makes it absolutely a lovely work environment. But most of the conflicts that I am involved in, it's not the case, right? So, how do we stay happy when people are not catering to our needs? Our boss have no time for us, and our colleagues are too overwhelmed and burnt out to support us. That's the kind of happiness I'm talking about. Not that, oh, elated, oh, we're happy. No, I'm talking about you creating your own happiness system so that when stuff hits the fan, you are okay, right? You've got your own song going on in your head. You've got your own rhythm going because you have taken care of yourself, of your own well being, and you are happy at work. And that is what we want to talk about today. It really is crucial for us to build that happiness system for ourselves so that we are happy at work. That is crucial. What about positive work culture? So, one of the things that organizations spend a lot of time on, they have people who's doing people and culture. Some of them have no clue what they're doing. Anyway, I didn't say that. Um, and it creating an environment where respect, integrity, and collaboration are not just words, but practice. And those are good. I mean, I teach those. They're not useless. They need to be there. But I'm talking about the kind of happiness that get you through and the kind of resilience that take you through when those things are not happening in the workplace. That is a true fact, right? So share your comments. Are you having those wonderful environment? Are you seeing those things in your workplace? Good for you. Do they make you happy? Well, happiness doesn't just come from work. You need to show up to work already contented, happy with your life, fulfilled. When we talk about work life balance, it's the ability to manage your personal life alongside your professional responsibility without guilt, without burnout, without overwhelm. And in today's hybrid world and remote working world, there is no very little separation between work and life. We have to be able to prioritize and manage that ourselves, or else we're always, I found myself last week and I was like, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling so tense? And I realized, I was working in my office and then working at my home office. And I recognized, hey, I need to complete one task at a time. I had too many things. I was like, I have to get this done. I have to get it. Too many deadlines. And I was like, no, no, I'm only human and I need to make sure I am scheduling in those times for breaks, those times for a nap. Yeah, a nap. It's a good thing. During my lunch break, I have my 30 minutes. Actually, I don't even need 30 minutes. Most of the time, I get a 15-minute break for myself. I do that break. Recognition and growth opportunities, feeling valued and seeing a path for career advancement, those are great things if you're looking to create more happiness in your workplace. A supportive boss, friendly colleagues, clear policies and procedures, positive workplace culture, work life balance, recognition and growth opportunities. Those are all great. But we're talking about the things you need to do from. So let's look at what takes away from happiness at work. Toxic relationships, yes. Negative dynamics with colleagues or superiors can drain your energy and motivation. So, what is it? Which of those are you seeing? And you don't have to share and say it's you, but which of those are you seeing becoming an issue and in the workplace and taking away, robbing people of their happiness? That's what we're talking about. What are taking away from the happiness? So, unclear expectations, lack of autonomy, feeling micromanaged, stifles your creativity and initiative, inequity, perceive unfairness, maybe pay equities. You're maybe this guy is getting more than you do, or you're female, or somebody is getting, the opportunities for advancement or being treated fairly, equally, respectfully. Those are all the pieces. Maybe you're feeling resented at work. Those are the things that can take away from your happiness. So, one of the things that we do at Interpersonal Wellness Services Inc., and if you've been following this show, you know I am the president and CEO of Interpersonal Wellness Services. And we've been providing services for organizations for the last 27 years on exactly what our business name is, Interpersonal. We're looking at the dynamics. We're looking at how can we have better workplace dynamics that doesn't take away from people's wellness, from their ability to learn, their ability to cooperate, the ability to be part of the team, to feel happy and to feel completely as if they belong at work, right? We know the research shows, Gallup research shows that well-being at work is critical, and that when your employees have lower well-being, it affects your organization. It puts your organization at risk. So we know all of that. So why are we not feeling happy at work? Why do we have all these struggles? Why are we challenged at work? Why is there so much of this drama? Why are we not feeling happy at work? That's the question I want us to talk about today. We're there because of the struggles, because we're seeing too much of the same thing going on. And people are telling me, Joyce, I have no hope that it's going to change. It's just the same thing. It goes on and on, maybe stop a little bit, and then it goes right back. So employees want to have autonomy. They want to be able to feel safe at work and have that place to feel vulnerable and without shame and or taken advantage of. People need to feel secure. But there is one piece that we teach under the wellness improvement system, the whole interpersonal culture of work that we design and we're fostering. And that's really looking at developing your own well being system. So it's important for you to have that, because if you don't have a well being system, then you are not doing well at work because you are struggling to find you and to be able to be a support for your team. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share a little bit about our model that we do. And you may have seen this before in my work, but it's really important to think about your own wellness system. And so I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes just explaining what this model is and how you can develop your own wellness system. And so, what we've put together is a 9 dimensional approach to wellness, well being, happiness, fulfillment, contentment. If you're not happy in your life, it's very unlikely that you're going to be happy at work. Don't let anyone fool you into thinking, oh, if I'm happy, if work is good, I'll be happy. Mm-mm. I've been around for too long. And really, you need to be happy as an individual. You need to be happy with yourself. You need to be happy in what you're doing. So, first we look at what are the 9 dimensions of you that's important to have. And that's spiritual, that's social, that's emotional, that's intellectual, that's occupational. Those are environmental, that's intellectual, financial, and physical. And then we have interpersonal. So, it's important for us to have these dimensions and that our needs are met and that we are feeling that we are well. That's critical, right? It's very critical to what you do and in your work and in your life. So, but what happens and what we see often is that someone is not taking care of themselves. Someone is not paying attention to their well being. And so, as a result, they're not feeling well. They are coming into work and they're struggling to feel well. They're struggling to feel happy. They're struggling in one of the dimensions of their life. And when we look at the different dimensions, what we're seeing the spiritual, we're seeing the social, we're seeing the emotional, right? We're seeing these dimensions and we're saying, okay, these dimensions are there. Then we go into occupational, emotional, interpersonal, physical, financial, environmental, intellectual. And then we're saying, okay, well, I need to be happy in all of those areas, Joyce. I need to be doing some level of wellness in those areas in order for me to be happy, truly happy. Because we know that happiness is not how much money you have or how much they like you at work, because we have people who were very well liked at work, and we have statistic that we have clear evidence that some of these people end up hurting themselves, becoming suicidal, have mental health illnesses. So we look at the whole risk factors to your happiness level. And this is where we start talking about reducing your well being risk so you can create your own internal system of happiness. And so on the outside of this ring, you're going to see the dimensions of wellness, and on the outside, you're going to see the competencies of well being that we develop so that you can start to feel happy about who you are and what you bring to the workplace and how you're sharing yourself, how you're communicating. Did you know that communication is a big part of happiness? This month, we focus on every month, we teach one well being competency that allows you to develop how well you're doing. And this month of February, we started off, we looked at communication barriers last week with the team of, with our faculty team. And we're looking at how can we be happy and how can we communicate in a way that allows us to meet our goals, allows us to get the attention we need, to be taken seriously, to be respected. And then we're building that as a competency, responsible communication on both end, me as the communicator and you as the listener. Both have to come to the process responsibly with the intention to learn from each other, to share with each other, and to meet each other's needs. If that's not happening, it's not responsible communication. And so we will walk away feeling unheard, which depletes our happiness level, our sense of well being. Because well being is feeling happy, contented, fulfilled. Part of that is being respected, feeling that you are contributing, you are participating, right? You're sharing your gifts to the world, you are living aligned with your purpose. Those are all part of what makes us happy. So that's why work should connect with meaning and purpose. So if you're going into work every day and you're like, what the heck are we doing? Uh, I don't know. Should I be there? Maybe I should look for another job. That means you're not connected with the meaning and purpose of work. Something is happening at work that's causing you to think that there is a better place, that you should be doing something else, that this is not where you should be. So when you're having those questions, when you're having those thoughts, it's a wake up call to say, hey, I'm not happy at work. And I mean, we know when we're not happy at work. We know, we can feel it, right? It's a feeling. And well being is a state that we get to. So happiness doesn't happen overnight. You don't just wake up and feel happy and stay happy. You have to build the building blocks of happiness into your life so that regardless of what's happening, there is resilience in your happiness system, your whole well being system. It's a system of well being. So if your boss is having an off day, you're spiritually grounded with breath, with a sense of who you are, with a sense of understanding your purpose, your vision, being able to get into a place where breath is important, where you're using you connected with your spirit, wisdom. You're bringing that wisdom of who you are, and then you can counteract what's coming from the outside, because environmental is a key part of well-being, right? It's part of the system of wellness that we want to have around us, and we need to work to improve those because life happens. Things are going to occur on a daily basis that will erode, impact, take away, and then cause us to be at a place where we are not feeling happy. We're not feeling contented. We're not feeling that it's happiness. Your boss is, let's say, your boss is the person closest to you in the organization, and how you engage with that person, the relationship you have, the communication strategy, the way you communicate, that whole culture of interaction is going to be a key part of your happiness. Probably a good 60 to 75% of your happiness at work. will be aligned to your boss's treatment. That's if you allow yourself to become so dependent on that external relationship it for your happiness. What we teach in the well-being curriculum is first you assess how well you're doing in the 9 dimensions so you get an understanding of how well you are, meaning that your ability to instill, bring in, maintain happiness in your life despite what's happening. So we look at spiritual alignment, we look at social alignment, your ability to connect, right? This is the intelligence that we need to be bringing to the workplace. That spiritual intelligence, that wisdom of knowing your purpose, your passion, your personal style, your core values. That's spiritual wisdom. We bring that to the workplace. Then we step away and we look at the social intelligence you bring. That's the connection intelligence, your ability to connect with others, your ability to communicate with others, to negotiate, to align, to attend. That's amazing. And when you have that level of intelligence, you're able to have good connections regardless of what the relationship is. So too often we don't have that, and we're relying fully on that person, that other person in the relationship to bring it. It is not a 50, you have to show up 100%. You're not going to be successfully happy and doing well and attaining a state of well-being if you're so dependent. Yes, there are miserable bosses. I've been to some terrible conflict situations. I had a situation where there was a director who was being should not have been in that role. Let's just say this person was ill-equipped to be at a director level, didn't have the skills, the capacity, the relational or spiritual wisdom or connection wisdom, or even the stamina or resilience to be a director. And we see that often. These things happen, people get into leadership roles, and you're like, how did that happen? Right? And so when I go in to do a conflict analysis, I'm looking at who is leading, what's the system like, and how are people responding to that? How is it impact? What impact is the system having on the conflict? So we're looking at the system conflict as well as the individuals in the system. So there is two elements to it. And often people are unhappy, people are not feeling well, they're not doing well. And that's because of what's happening in the larger system. Usually there is a leader who is either an avoider or completely clueless and doesn't have or lack what we call that connections and relational intelligence, as well as that spiritual intelligence or wisdom that comes with leadership, that should be part of leadership, not necessarily comes with it. And in this particular situation, uh, after working with the director, part of the whole system approach was to work with that director level, and then work with the mid-level leader level, and then of course the employee, because we take a very holistic perspective. And during conversations, at one point, I had the mid-level leader in, so, and that leader was with their team, and part of the dialogue was supporting your team. And that person broke down in the meeting and started screaming, "Why should I do for my employees what I don't get from my director?" And that was a clear sign that this person didn't have their own bucket of well being. And mind you, and you may be saying, then you say, Joyce, yeah, it's easy to say when something has been going on for 20 years and 10 and 15 years, and we think this is the way it's going to be. We're never going to get a respite, and it's never going to get better. Sometimes you lose hope. And that's why it's so important to have your own wellness system, because you are going to be vulnerable to what's happening in the culture of the organization. And if you let your happiness and your well being be totally managed by what's happening in the outer system, then you're going to be feeling like a victim. You're going to be angry as heck, and you're going to feel as a victim. That's why it's important to do your own work, your own personal well being and happiness system development. So, one of the things that we do at IWS is we help you to assess how well you're doing in these 9 dimensions. Because I had to now do damage control between that leader now and her team, because she just erupted by telling them that, hey, don't expect me to give you what I'm not getting. And they're like, what? That's not fair. You know better. We don't expect you to behave like what you're getting. We expect you to be there for us, to support us. So you have to start thinking about those kinds of thoughts, because we know stuff falls down. And when leaders are not supported by the top management, the top leadership, the executive, they start to look around and feel sorry for themselves. And they start making comments like, who is taking care of me? Who am I? Who's watching out for me? And then they start to neglect the happiness and well being of the employees. So that's a big part of the chain. That's why I always say to employees when I go in, when I'm working with the executive or working with the mid level leaders, it is important for you to take care of self. And that's the key to your well being. Going in and taking care of yourself, ensuring you're doing well spiritually, socially, emotionally, o- occupationally, you're having challenge. Okay, make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of breath, flow, wisdom. You're aligning with your personal values, your sense of purpose, your vision for you. You're practicing responsible communication even when you don't receive it. It's not about what you get, it's about who you are, right? Then emotional wellness, that's self mastery, practicing and looking at your own self awareness in terms of how you're dealing with your stress emotionally, doubt, stress, resentment, right? You could get so angry. I've met people who become so angry and frustrated, and they're like, Joyce, this is so mad. I'm so mad. Shouldn't be happening. And you take on and you want to fight the fight, but often it is not your fight to fight. And you may not be in the right position to fight. And so you have to be able to stop back and say, how do I care for myself? And some people say, Joyce, that's when it's time to exit. I'm gone. And yes, I've been to some very toxic situations that has been ongoing for a number of years. But there are situations where it's not that bad. And maybe we're just dealing with a leader who is new in the role, doesn't understand the policies themselves, doesn't understand the strategy or how things work. Very, very important to have grace, to give them some grace, to offer to help, work with them, ask if you can be of service. Sometimes happiness comes from what we do for others, not necessarily what they do for us. So finding ways to support each other, not supporting your boss. Maybe your boss is not doing as well, and things are not going well for them. They're struggling, especially when they're new. That first 5 years of leadership is very tough in any organization. So it's important for us to look at happiness from a holistic perspective, right? And not just from the interpersonal is so important, which is the relational aspect. And research has shown us that the relationships we have will be a key part of our happiness. Actually, those with poor relationships don't live as long and healthy as those with great relationships. So, having those great relationships where you feel good about yourself, where you feel good about the other, you're having a sense of interdependence, you're giving and taking, you're sharing, you're understanding, and of course, financial well-being. That is an issue for so many people. And if you're not experiencing financial wellness, that can cause additional stress and worry and take your vision and focus away from being happy. And so recognize that, and then recognize that that's one element of your life that affects every other element, because just like the spiritual, social, emotional, one aspect of your life where you're not doing well can affect all the other areas of your life, all the other dimensions. And when you're not doing well there, what are the resources, what are the strategies to do well? So being able to understand the risks to your well-being and making those adjustments are key to staying well. And that's where we specialize at Interpersonal Wellness Services with our WIS assessment, which gives you an opportunity to measure how well you're doing on all these 9 dimensions. And then you can come back and say, okay, I don't like, because you get a score, a numeric score. You get a level of wellness. You get a level of, you get a curriculum. Um, so you get a competency analysis. You get to understand, and then it ties you into the well-being curriculum as where you need to develop competencies and how you get to teach it, how you learn more about yourself. This is why our work is so groundbreaking and we have such great results, because we're looking at the whole person. We're recognizing that you're a whole person and you need to be supported on all dimensions, but you need to do some of that work yourself. Your workplace, your boss is not going to do it for you. Many times the organizations pay for the employees to do the assessment. And then once you get the assessment, you get your results. You get a 18-page report that tells you where you're doing low, what your risk factors are, and how you can make a difference. So if you want more information on that, please reach out to me for the assessment, and or you can go to our website and click under our resource, go to the assessment page, and learn more about the assessment and how you can understand your well-being risk and the things that are taking away your ability to feel happy at work and feel a sense of well-being in your entire life, so that you can be successful. Because why is that important? Well, low well-being affects your mental health. Low well-being reduces your immunity and makes you more susceptible to chronic diseases, a lot of autoimmune diseases. Of course, we talk about depleting your mental health, make you less resilient, burnout, overwhelm, anxiety. All of those pieces are what at the other side of happiness, which is unhappiness, which is low well being, which increases your risk to being ill, low performance, lack of presence. So, all of those pieces are there. So, this is why this is so important for us to talk about and to do, because if we don't, it doesn't look good on the other end. It's not a good picture. And we want to have a good picture. We spend so much time at work. Let us make it a happy, joyful place to be, because we're not at work, grooving. Hey, happy. We're at work working, and we should have those. We should feel contented. We should feel empowered. We should feel enlightened. We should feel challenged. And we should also feel fulfilled by the work we're doing. That's why happiness is so important at work. This is Joyce Edison on What's Happening at Work show here live on LinkedIn. If you're listening on the podcast, if you're listening on Facebook, you're looking at the show um, live, or you're looking at the recording, I want to encourage you to develop your own wellness system so that you can be happy and build your own happiness, because that's really how it's going to work. That's where you have the most control and you're going to find the best results. Thanks for being part of the show today. Joyce Edison here, interpersonalwellness.com. Join us there. Click over and learn more about the wellness improvements and the WIS assessment and how you can assess your risk factors and all the little things that take away from your happiness and your well-being, so you can respond appropriately and get your life to where you want it to be. Bye now. I will see you on a next show.